Football is officially back. Our Chicago Bears are taking out our most hated rivals, the Green Bay Packers, in week 1 of the NFL season at Soldier Field. Who's going to win this game? What should we look out for? Watch this video to find out. With the NFL being back, I'm sure a lot of you guys will be spending a lot of time watching football on your couch. And if you guys want to potentially cash in on your NFL knowledge, place wagers, I've actually partnered with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL, to give you guys a fantastic new promotion for new players. So if you don't have a DraftKings Sportsbook account yet, download the app down below. It's in my description box and in the pinned comment as well. If you sign up using my promo code DaWindyCity and you put $5 on any wager on the app, you actually get $200 in bonus bets instantly. It's that easy. So if you want to get a good start to your bankroll, if you're new to betting, or if you don't have a DraftKings Sportsbook account, this is a very good way to get that start to your bankroll and build up for future bets. And DraftKings has a ton of different betting options as well. So if you want to, for example, do a straight bet where you're betting on a team to beat a different team, you could do that. Or you could also do same game parlays, which are pretty cool because you can combine a bunch of different things in a single game. For example, passing yards for this player with rushing yards for that player with whatever else they offer in that game. And if all those things happen, you get the payout you're supposed to get, and the odds can go up there because you're combining a bunch of different things. So I've had a lot of fun doing same game parlays. I've been doing straight wagers too, and I've been using DraftKings Sportsbook for a long time, and it's been nothing but reliable for me. So highly recommend it. And sports betting is not legal in your state just yet. DraftKings still has you covered because they have something called DraftKings Daily Fantasy, which is a little bit different, but it's a lot of fun using that app as well. So download the app down below, guys. The link is in my description box in the pinned comment as well. If you sign up using promo code DaWindyCity, bet $5 on any wager, you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code DaWindyCity only on DraftKings Sportsbook. What is up, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears pregame prediction video, which I'll be doing before every single Bears game this year. So if you guys want my thoughts and my opinions before every single Bears game, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll also have a post-game reaction out for you guys as well at the end of each game. So be on the lookout for all that content. I'm also releasing my Bears hype video sometime in the next few days. It might actually be out by the time you guys watch this video, so be on the lookout for that if it's not out already. But yeah, you guys can tell by the tone of my voice, by my face, like I'm super damn pumped to be talking about real NFL football again, because it's the best sport in America, guys, without a doubt. Nothing compares. And when football season starts, like, I start getting hella hyped. Even though the Bears have sucked for the majority of my life, I still get hyped before every single year. And this year, guys, we actually have a lot to look forward to, so I'm super excited to be back doing these videos for you guys every single week. And what better way to start out this new season than against the Green Bay Packers, the team that has destroyed the Chicago Bears for the vast majority of my lifetime. We have not beaten this team since 2018. In the last 25 matchups, I think we've only won like 2 or 3 of them, I want to say. I don't have the exact number in front of me, and I don't really want to look it up either, but it's bad, okay? Our record against the Packers, as you guys know, has been terrible, but the bad man is there no longer, okay? The Aaron Rodgers era is over in Green Bay, and this is going to be the first game of the Jordan Love era in Green Bay, which, as a Bears fan, like, I obviously don't want to jinx anything and write off Jordan Love completely, because he still could be good. Like, I'm not trying to say Jordan Love cannot be a good quarterback, but just to not have Aaron Rodgers there on the other sideline in the green and gold as the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, that is a big damn relief, because my entire lifetime I've been fearing that man because of what he has done to our football team. Completely destroyed them, owned us during his time with the Green Bay Packers. But thankfully, we don't have to worry about that anymore. He is gone to New York. And now we have to worry about Jordan Love, which, again, I don't want to say anything that's going to come back to bite me in the butt. Like, I'm still, viewing Jordan Love as a potentially decent quarterback, but the chances he's going to be anything close to what Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre were before him are extremely low. Okay, to hit on 3 quarterbacks in a row, that almost never happens. The odds of that happening are extremely low, and obviously the Packers have done it their entire time as a franchise. They had Bart Starr, they had Brett Favre, they've had Aaron Rodgers, so it's not impossible, but I'm just saying, guys, the odds of him being a Hall of Fame quarterback are not that likely. Jordan Love, that is. So we'll see what Love can be, though. And, talking about this rivalry, guys, what this game means for the rivalry, it means a hell of a lot more than just one game, okay? If the Chicago Bears want to be taken seriously this year, they have to go out here in Soldier Field and win this damn game. I don't care if it's only one game, if it only counts for one loss. If we lose this game, I'm going to be freaking devastated because, especially after Rodgers finally leaves, okay, the exact thing that us Bears fans have been praying for. If we go out here and lose to Jordan Love in his first game, you know, not first game starting, but basically first game as a full-time starter of the Green Bay Packers, I would not be able to show my face on social media for like a few weeks at least. I mean, obviously I would still make a post-game reaction video, just be freaking devastated in it and, you know, probably cry myself to sleep that night. But like, we cannot lose this game, guys. I mean, this is a must-win in my opinion for the Chicago Bears, even though obviously on paper it would only count for one loss. It's still a young Bears team that's coming off the worst record in football last year. So it's not impossible for the Bears to lose, obviously, but I really hope the Bears take this game seriously and turn the tides of this rivalry, because it is about damn time we finally beat the Green Bay Packers. We have no excuse now. Rodgers is no longer there. We have a quarterback in year 3 now, Justin Fields. We built around him too. There's no excuse for the Bears to go out here at home at Soldier Field and still lose to the Green Bay Packers. And we also don't face the Packers again after this game until week 18. So if we lose this game, the Packers fans are going to be talking shit for 17 straight weeks. I don't know if I can even handle another week of shit talking by Packers fans, let alone 17 more weeks. My entire life, I've not been able to say anything to my Packers fan friends because they've beaten us every single time. So I really hope, I really pray the Bears are taking this seriously and finally will give us Bears fans the chance to talk shit back to our Packers fans friends that have been doubting Justin Fields, that have been doubting the Bears for their entire lifetimes. It is about damn time we finally win. But talking about the Green Bay Packers roster, they obviously made a bunch of changes on both offense and defense. I'll be breaking down both the offense and the defense, starting with the Packers offense and talking about the additions. Okay, so the Packers in the offseason did add Luke Musgrave through the NFL draft, a pass-catching tight end that they drafted in round 2, I want to say, round 2 or 3. They also got Jaden Reed, speedy guy, a local kid that grew up near Chicago that I was actually hoping would be a Bear, but ends up being a Green Bay Packer. They also added Tucker Kraft, also another tight end in the NFL draft from a smaller school that's super athletic. And the final addition on the offense, I'll say, is Jordan Love. Obviously, he was on the team beforehand, but he was on the bench before. Now he's actually the starting quarterback of the Packers. Talking about the key losses then, they also lost a good amount of players, veterans mostly. So they lost Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, we all know about that. Going over to the New York Jets. They also lost Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, also following Rodgers to the New York Jets. Veteran options for the Packers that, you know, maybe weren't superstars. Like Alan Lazard was a solid number 2. Randall Cobb was used to be a good number 2 that had, you know, old age hit him basically, right? So last year Randall Cobb was not that good, but still a veteran option for the Packers. They also lost Robert Tonyan and Mercedes Lewis to the Chicago Bears. But yeah, those are the big changes in the Packers offense. There wasn't really a big free agency splash on offense or defense for the matter, because the Packers don't roll that way. They like to build through the NFL draft. So yeah, that's the Packers offense now. And talking about what stands out about their offense the most right now, it's obviously going to be their run game. Okay, the run game, definitely I am afraid about to some extent how the Bears will defend against that, because they have 2 dynamic runners of the football in both Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. We already know that Aaron Jones has been a superstar before in the NFL. He had 1,100 rushing yards last year. Also a fantastic receiving option too out of the backfield. So a do-it-all back that can handle the load as an RB1, but they also have a solid number 2 complementary back in AJ Dillon, a power horse that they call Quadzilla that has a lot of power to his game. So on a, you know, short yardage situation at the goal line, like, he could be a menace out there for the Green Bay Packers. And that's going to be the big thing about the Packers this year, guys. Like, especially with Aaron Rodgers leaving and with them having a young quarterback that's still learning, that's still, you know, very inexperienced. How do you help a quarterback like that? You help him out with a solid run game, and the Packers do seem to have that on paper. So definitely the strongest part about their offense, the most stable part, I'd say, because everybody else besides the running backs are really, really young, okay? If you look at the receiver group, it's full of young, inexperienced players, headlined by Christian Watson. We already know what Christian Watson can do. He went off against the Bears in that second game last year. He is a athletic freak, okay? This guy can run down the field, burn anybody in the NFL. He can take a jet sweep or a screen pass to the house. But the only problem with this guy is that he's a little bit raw in terms of catching the football, right? He's had a drop issue last year. It remains to be seen if that's going to be an issue for him this year as well. In his route running, maybe he's not the most advanced route runner. So Christian Watson still has flaws to his game, but as a athlete, he is scary to go up against. After that, they got Romeo Dobbs, also a second-year player that had a pretty decent year last year. Nothing too special. Probably a decent number 2, but not like a upper-level number 2, I'd say. And they also drafted Jaden Reed out of Michigan State, who is a speedster going down the field. So this Packers offense does have a lot of speed to it at the receiver room, but they still don't have a guy like a Devontae Adams that they had, 2 years ago that could run any route in the book, that could, be that veteran presence for his quarterback. It's full of young guys that are going to probably make mistakes throughout the course of the season. But they also got young tight ends as well. Okay, they drafted 2 of them, both Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, who are both athletic guys that can pass catch. So it remains to be seen how much they'll do in year 1, because tight end is a position that it's very hard to adjust to the NFL level from college, right? Like you see all these NFL tight ends coming out that usually don't have great rookie years or even good year 2s. They're usually, hitting their peak after year 3, year 4, or beyond. So I'm not trying to say Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, for the matter, cannot be good middle of the field guys for Jordan Love to target. Security blankets that can also work down the field too, because both of them are pretty athletic. They could be decent in year 1, but I'm not expecting them to be stars in year 1, because tight end is not a position where that usually happens for young guys. So, athletic tight end room, but pretty young tight end room. And then finally, I do want to talk about Jordan Love as well. Okay, the quarterback now is Jordan Love and not Aaron Rodgers. And when coming up for stuff to say for this segment, talking about Jordan Love, I drew a blank, right? Because we don't know anything about Jordan Love yet. He's only started 1 game in the NFL in 3 years. The last time he actually started the full season was college football back in 2019 at Utah State, in which he threw 17 picks. So, I don't know if Jordan Love is going to be that turnover machine that we saw in the last year at Utah State, or more what we saw in the preseason this year, in which he looked, decently accurate, made pretty quick decisions. But that's preseason, right? Like going up against vanilla defenses. So you can't take too much away from preseason either, which I know Packers fans, some of them are, like we did with Justin Fields last year. Justin Fields had a fantastic preseason in 2022, but definitely did not succeed that much as a passer in 2022. So preseason does not mean shit, okay? We don't know anything about Jordan Love, what he can be, what he can't be yet, because the sample size is just far too small. But if I'm a betting man, which I am, this video is sponsored by DraftKings, I would not bet on Jordan Love being a elite quarterback, okay? That hopefully that doesn't come back to, be a cold take, but just based on what I saw in college football, what I've seen in the few flashes he's played in regular season, he seems like an average quarterback, maybe at the very best, but I don't see elite level ability in him. At least, it's not been on display yet. And we'll see what he brings in week 1, okay? It's going to be a total mystery. Hopefully he's not good, because I would be crying myself to sleep if the Packers hit on a 3rd quarterback in a row. But talking about the Packers defense then, with defensive coordinator Joe Barry, which I know many Packers fans are not the fondest of, but they still kept him for this year. They did not make that many additions. They only added really Jonathan Owens, a safety, and they also drafted Lucas Van Ness, an edge rusher out of Iowa in the draft. But that's the major additions to the defense. Talking about the major losses then, they lost Adrian Amos, safety that we Bears fans know. Obviously, they also lost Dean Lowry and Jaron Reed as well. So, defense is, for the most part, kind of the same, aside from just a few additions and subtractions. But talking about the best part about this Packers defense, it is, in my opinion, definitely going to be their defensive line. Okay, the Packers defensive line actually has a high amount of potential with the talent that they have accumulated here, especially with Rashawn Gary coming back from his ACL tear. If you guys don't remember, Rashawn Gary missed a lot of last year from an ACL tear, but he is back, and he was looking like a stud before he went down last year. In only 204 pass rushing snaps, he had 38 pressures and 6 sacks. That is an insane pressure to snap ratio. So, coming off the edge against Darnell Wright, who probably is going to be facing off against in this game occasionally, that's a tough matchup for Darnell Wright. Being a rookie tackle, going up against a guy this talented in Rashawn Gary. So they got him. They got Kenny Clark, who we all know about at this point. He's been on the Packers for what seems like decades at this point. Fantastic run defender, a guy that can also get pressure on the inside. Big physical presence, obviously, for the Packers there. And they also drafted Lucas Van Ness, who, coming out of Iowa, one of the more athletic dudes in that class. And a guy that's pretty raw, I'd say, in terms of his pass rushing ability, but if he puts it all together early, that could be a scary defensive line for the Green Bay Packers. So those three guys are probably the headliners on this defensive line. They got other guys there too, obviously, like Preston Smith, like Devontae Wyatt, who they drafted last year from Georgia, that, you know, also could be pretty decent. So defensive line actually looking pretty solid for the Green Bay Packers. But talking about their secondary, I think it's a totally different story there, because I see a lot of massive question marks in the secondary aside from Jair Alexander, who even Jair Alexander, you know, he got beat by both EQ St. Brown and N'Keal Harry. So even Jair Alexander is not completely unbeatable. We beat him a couple times last year. He's still an elite cornerback, obviously, but, you know, we got him a couple times last year. And aside from Jair, there's not any other superstar on the secondary. They lost Eric Stokes, their first-round cornerback from last year, to an injury for at least, I think, the first month of the season. So Eric Stokes will not be playing in this game. They have Rasul Douglas, who had a pick six against Fields a couple years ago. So he's like an average, decent option at cornerback, but not a superstar, obviously. And they have, you know, Keyshawn Nixon at nickel cornerback right now. And not a lot of talent besides that, okay? At safety, they have Darnell Savage, who had a bad year last year, and Rudy Ford coming over from the Jacksonville Jaguars, I want to say. So a lot of opportunities for the Bears to attack downfield, okay, against a secondary that does seem pretty inexperienced, pretty weak on paper, that is. So that's a Packers team. Let's talk now about our Chicago Bears and what changes they made on both offense and defense. And I'll start by talking about the offense. And they made a lot of additions on the offensive side of the football. They added DJ Moore, a superstar receiver, in trading back for the #1 pick. They also added Nate Davis, a solid guard from the Tennessee Titans. They added Darnell Wright in the NFL draft from Tennessee, who, you know, really good pass protector in college that went up against the likes of Will Anderson, etc., and performed really well against them. They added Roshan Johnson, Deontay Foreman, and obviously Tynan Lewis from the Green Bay Packers. Talking about the subtractions then, we didn't lose much of anybody on the offensive note besides for David Montgomery, who actually went to the Detroit Lions. But aside from that, like, who else would I talk about? Sam Mustipher, Byron Pringle, like, those guys were not good. So the Bears offense only got better in the offseason. And the big question mark about this year is going to be, what type of leap is Justin Fields going to take, okay? Because nothing else on this team matters unless Justin Fields takes a leap that us Bears fans think he's capable of taking, okay? In college football, he was a dynamic thrower of the football, okay? Not a runner, but thrower of the football in college football when he did have the weapons around him. And on paper, it seems like the Bears now do have the weapons around him. We added DJ Moore, like I mentioned, who was a do-it-all type of receiver that can go down the field, you know, win a jump ball, can burn guys down the field, that can get yards after the catch, take a screen pass 60 yards to the house, that can put a move on a defender in the open field and take a slant 40, 50 yards to the house. We already saw DJ Moore do that in the preseason, so that's definitely going to continue when the real games start as well, if we can get the balls into his hands. Chase Claypool, we also traded for last year, and although that trade is not looking like a good trade so far, I want to see what it's going to look like with more chemistry, more practice time in this offense, which he has now had. Okay, he did play the majority of training camp practices. He did not play any preseason games, which kind of sucks that we cannot get him in a real game setting so far. But Chase Claypool, man, he's a physical presence, physical beast that going down the field, he can win a jump ball for you if Justin Fields does give him the opportunity to catch those balls. And Darnell Mooney is the only guy with any sort of chemistry with Fields in the past, but he's had a 1,000-yard season before in this offense with Justin Fields at quarterback. So on paper, this Bears receiving core could be one of the better ones in football. Maybe not like top 5 or anything, but definitely could be top 10, top 12 if all these guys do play to their potential, because all of them do have pretty high potential, especially DJ Moore being the #1 guy. But I do want to talk about the Bears run game as well, because I still think this Bears offense is going to rely a lot on the run game still. Hopefully not so much on Justin Fields' legs, because I do hope Justin Fields can succeed this year as a passer and not have to run for 1,000 yards again. But if you look at the Bears running backs, it's still a very talented group of running backs, and this scheme does run the football a lot, so you still can expect all these guys, all these running backs, to get their share of carries. You know, Khalil Herbert, one of the most efficient runners in football last year. We added Deontay Foreman, who almost broke 1,000 yards last year with the Carolina Panthers. We also added Roshan Johnson in the NFL draft, who was a do-it-all back that can pass protect as well, which is going to be big potentially in this game if the Bears offensive line does struggle, especially Khalil Herbert, if he struggles in pass pro, we might see some snaps out of Roshan Johnson in this game, maybe on third down as that pass pro back. Or it could also be Travis Homer, because Travis Homer, coming over from the Seahawks, also was one of the best pass protecting running backs in the NFL. So I'm kind of curious to see how this running back rotation plays itself out. Who's going to be RB1, who's going to be RB2. Right now I'm assuming it's going to be Herbert as RB1, but again, if he struggles in pass pro, maybe we're going to bring in one of the other backs to, be that presence in front of Justin Fields to keep him upright. But lastly, I do want to talk about the Bears offensive line, okay? Because this is the group that I'm probably the most worried about on the offense, because injuries have taken their toll, okay? Tevin Jenkins, our best offensive lineman, is not going to be playing in this game due to a lower leg injury. Nate Davis, our new guard that we signed, has not really practiced that much due to injuries and maybe off the field stuff. Cody Whiter's been dinged up. Darnell Wright missed the last few weeks of practice. So our offensive line has not gotten the chance to practice together that much and be a cohesive unit, which is a little bit worrisome, because offensive line is a position group that you need those practice reps and you need to trust each other. And right now that trust maybe is not fully there, but hopefully I'm proven wrong and the Bears offensive line can go there in week 1 and perform pretty well against a really good Packers defensive line. But talking about the Bears defense now, okay, I want to briefly talk about the Bears defense and the additions we made on the defensive side of the football, and there were a lot of additions, okay? Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Yannick Ngakoue, Tariq Stevenson in the NFL draft, and Javon Dexter also in the NFL draft. And there's other guys too. I'm just trying not to make this video too long, so I'm not going to talk about every single player we added on defense, but it's definitely going to be a better defensive unit. I'm talking about who we lost on defense. We did not lose really anybody of note besides for Travis Gibson, okay? He was the only guy that started for us last year that I feel like we might miss, but like Nicholas Moreau, Kindle Vildor, I don't think we're going to miss those guys too much. The Bears linebacking core is the best part of this defense. Heavily upgraded. We got Tremaine Edmonds, a superstar with the Buffalo Bills who's made a Pro Bowl before. We got TJ Edwards, who's a fantastic run defender who went to the Super Bowl last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jack Sanborn coming back from a pretty fantastic rookie year in which he didn't start that many games, only started 4 or 5 games, I want to say, dealt with the injury later on, but very instinctive guy that's also good against the run. So in the middle of the field, guys, that's going to be the Bears' biggest strength. And obviously it's 2023 right now, so linebackers don't matter as much as they used to, but we got linebackers that I feel like can translate to this new era of football. Tremaine Edmonds is built like a damn safety. This guy is freakishly tall, freakishly athletic, super fast. He has silent-to-silent speed. So Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker is honestly kind of like your safety in the middle of the field. And with his long arms, man, he could be disrupting a lot of passing lanes in the middle of the field. So feeling really good about the Bears linebackers. Also feeling pretty good about the secondary. Eddie Jackson coming back from an injury. We got Jaquan Brisker in year 2. Hopefully Jaquan Brisker does play. I think it's kind of up in the air, but Eberflus did say that all starters besides for Tevin Jenkins are expected to play a few days ago, so I'm hoping Jaquan Brisker is going to be here because he is a ball hawking type of safety that also is a very hard hitter too. So solid safety group. The cornerbacks are pretty young. Jalen Johnson is the veteran now in the group, and I'm not worried about Jalen Johnson, but Tariq Stevenson, I'm a little bit worried about because he's going to be a rookie that is going to be making a lot of mistakes. So he could be a guy that potentially could be picked on in this game. But Kyler Gordon going into year 2, hopefully he should be a lot better than he was last year, because last year he did make a lot of improvements down the stretch, and hopefully those improvements do continue into this year. But lastly, talking about the Bears defensive line, okay, this is the one unit that I am the most concerned about on the Chicago Bears team, because I'm not sure if we made enough addition to this unit to avoid being, again, a bottom 10, bottom 15 defensive line. I could be totally wrong about that because we definitely did make additions. We did add Yannick Ngakoue. We added DeMarcus Walker. We added Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens, Andrew Billings. So it's not the same defensive line as last year, but it's a very unproven unit right now. And in the preseason, they did get pushed around sometimes against the starting units. So definitely concerned about the Bears defensive line, but with the Yannick Ngakoue here, a guy that can get after the quarterback, that can hopefully get 8, 9, 10 sacks this season, at least our pass rush should not be as bad as it was last year. With all that being said, let's talk about the 3 keys to Bears victory. How can the Chicago Bears go in here and win this game against the Green Bay Packers? And key number 1 is going to be aggressive against an inexperienced quarterback. Last year, the Bears ranked bottom 5 in blitz percentage, and this defense that Eberflus runs is not known to be a blitz-heavy defense, but it should be an aggressive defense that is, getting into passing lanes, getting their hands up, being physical at the line of scrimmage, getting pressure on the quarterback. And if you cannot get pressure by sending 4, send 5, okay? Send a DB on a blitz. Send Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon on a DB blitz. Send an extra guy, Tremaine Edmonds, whoever, Noah Sewell, if you want to send him on a blitz. Like, we're going to have to find a way to get pressure on Jordan Love, because I do not want a situation which Jordan Love is just sitting back there behind a completely clean pocket, just delivering, darts in the middle of the field for like 5, 10, 15 yards and just like slowly eating us that way. Okay, I want to be aggressive against an inexperienced quarterback, because inexperienced quarterbacks against pressure, they often do not know what to do. This is not Aaron Rodgers we're going up against, guys. So if we blitz him, he's not going to immediately know who to throw the ball to, because that's what veteran quarterbacks do. But Jordan Love is not a veteran quarterback, so I want to see the Bears getting pressure in his face. Key number 2 then is going to be to neutralize the Packers run game. Okay, like I talked about in my Packers offense preview, this Packers offense is going to rely a lot on the run game, especially with an inexperienced young quarterback. And if the Bears can stop this run game somehow, which is much easier said than done with how bad the Bears run defense was last year, it's going to be a lot harder on Jordan Love. This Packers offense is going to be looking to open things up with that run game. But if the Bears linebackers can plug up those running lanes, if the Bears interior defensive line, guys like Zach Pickens, Jervon Dexter, if they play that much in this game, which maybe they don't because of rookies, but Justin Jones, Andrew Billings is a great run defender. If these guys can be better than expected against the run, it's going to be much easier for the Bears defense to hold this Packers offense to not doing much of anything. So that's key number 2. And then finally, key number 3 is going to be for Justin Fields to succeed in the drop back passing game. We already know how dynamic he is as a runner. We already know this Bears offense can run the football, but running the football for as many yards as we did last year still got us the worst record in football. This is a pass heavy league. It's a passing NFL now, and if we cannot drop back and pass the football when it matters, we're not going to be winning many games like we didn't win many games in 2022. So I really hope, I really pray that Justin Fields has made the progress as a passer, which I fully believe he has. He's going to have to show that in this game. He's going to have to make quicker decisions. He's going to have to be more accurate in the short to intermediate parts of the field. He's going to have to be on point in the passing attack with his decision making, because if he's not, it's going to be another rough outing probably for the Chicago Bears against the Packers. And I'm not saying, guys, to totally abandon his running abilities either, because obviously if you're so gifted as a runner, use those abilities, but just don't use them as much as he used them last year, because that's a recipe for injury. Okay, I don't want Justin Fields to get hurt by taking so many hits throughout the course of a game. It's just not sustainable. So definitely run here and there, but the drop back passing game has to work this year, and I hope it starts with this game. With all that being said, let's talk about my score prediction for this game. Who do I have winning this matchup? And guys, I have the Chicago Bears going to Soldier Field in week 1 against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers, and coming out of there with a win by the score of 24-21. Yes, I think it's going to be a pretty close game, because I'm honestly too scared to predict anything more than that, just because of how bad we have been against this team. I'm just too scarred from all those losses. So hopefully the Bears win by a lot more than this. But I do think in week 1, it could be a pretty low scoring game, because both offenses are pretty young. They have inexperienced young quarterbacks that are still learning, and it might take a little bit of time for this Bears offense to fully gel, because we have issues on the offensive line with injuries, with lack of practice. So maybe we're not going to start out this game like firing on all cylinders, but I do hope we can score 24 points against a secondary that does have a lot of holes on it right now. Our receivers should be able to take advantage of that and get open. So it's all on Justin Fields now to deliver the ball accurately to his receivers when they are open, and hopefully he can do that. And hopefully our offensive line does at least hold up enough to give him the time to do that, which I think here and there they probably will. It's not going to be a perfect outing for the offense, but scoring 24, I'd be happy with that in week 1, with all the new pieces we have on this offense this year. So I think offense does okay. Defense, holding the Packers to 21 points would also be a win in my book, because the Bears defense was the worst in football last year, and we have so many new pieces on this defense. So it might be a little bit of a learning experience for the defense, but going up against a very young Packers offense. Okay, this Packers offense is, I think I want to say, the youngest in the NFL, with their quarterback being young, with their receivers being young. Their offensive line has some old guys on it, but all the playmakers are super, super young. I think they could be making a handful of mistakes against a Bears defense that did force a decent amount of turnovers last year. Even though they were a bad defense in terms of yards and points allowed, they did rank 14th in the NFL in turnovers forced last year. And that should be a better number this year with the more talent that we have on the defense. So Bears win 24-21. Offense MVP, I'm going to go with DJ Moore. Okay, first game, I think he has a pretty nice outing in front of the fans at Soldier Field. He goes off for 75 receiving yards and 1 touchdown too. Defense MVP, I'm going to be going with Jaquan Brisker. Okay, let's say 1 interception, a couple nice tackles, and maybe 1 sack too if Eberflus does send him on a blitz. But that's the end of the video, guys. Leave your comments down below. What do you guys think the score of this game is going to be? I am so damn pumped. I cannot wait for this game. And if the Bears do win this game, I will not let Packers fans hear the end of it. With how much they have called Justin Fields a running back, with how much they have been hating on their entire offseason, if we go out here and beat them finally, we will finally have the opportunity to talk some shit back. And I really hope, I really pray that we can turn the tides of this rivalry starting with this game. Leave your comments down below. As always, bear down.